everyone, my name is Ashton and this is Ashton's Solo Book Club. And yes, this is my first video reviewing books and I'm super excited to be here. I only have a handful of books that I read in the month of June. I had a lot of stuff going on this month, but hopefully I have some new books on the list that you guys would want to check out. So the first book I read this month was Lady and the Orc by Finley. This was a dark fantasy romance. And before you get into this book, I would like to go over a trigger warning. So if you're a woman that is struggling with fertility, I recommend you tread lightly when you pick up this book, or don't pick up this book at all, because this would be definitely triggering for somebody who's having these issues, especially if there is emotional abuse going on. So this book begins with Lady Noor. Lady Noor is our heroine of the book, and she is being left alone. Well, she has her staff. She's not alone, but she's being left at the house without any guards. And so she's like chasing down her husband, like, where are you going? You didn't leave any guards. Because when I first picked up this book, I was like, is she chasing down her husband because she loves him? No. She despises this man. It was an arranged marriage, and I think since the orcs came in, this was her way out, right? And so a couple days later, the orcs come, and this is where we get introduced to a hero, which is Grimmar. And Grimmar, I despised him, but he decides to come up with this plan to take Lady Noor while her husband's out, impregnate her, and send her back, and maybe they'll figure out some plans so the orcs can be successful. And so while Lady Noor is at the Orc Mountain, she's like, wow, his voice sounds like velvet. He smells so good. Like, she couldn't resist this man at all. Even after he like made her cook everything for the orcs while she was chained up, I was like, the audacity. Whatever spell that he got this woman on, it must be nice, because I would not be cooking anything for anybody if I was chained up. But he wasn't playing, I guess. So what I liked about this book is the world building, and I found that the orcs and the background story was very interesting. I wanted to know more. And I also like the sexy spin on the orcs, because the first time I saw this title, I thought of Lord of the Rings orcs, okay? If you watch Lord of the Rings, you know what I'm talking about. Those orcs were big, scary, some were small, maybe some had wings, I can't remember. The negative of this book is, unfortunately, I really didn't like this book. The only reason is because the characters got on my nerves. If they weren't mating, they were fighting. And if they weren't fighting, they were mating. And it was just a cycle. I felt like this book was way too long for what it was, and it got on my nerves. This book could have been 150 pages and I would have been happy with it, right? And I felt like Lady Noor didn't, it was just awful, and the choices of men she had. She had the husband and she had Grimmar, and I found them both to be so annoying. They were both assholes, and I wasn't down with that. Like, Grimmar would do something or lie about something. He was just, I did not like him, and he sent poor Lady Noor back home knowing that either she'll be dead and her little bun in the oven would be dead. Like, it seemed like he did not care. And her husband was just an asshole. He was abusive. He didn't care about her. The whole relationship was about the money. And so overall, I give this book a 2.5 stars, but I'm definitely probably going to pick up book 2. Hopefully, we can have a little bit more redemption, because Grimmar, he wasn't it. He wasn't it for me. He was an asshole. So, and let me know in the comments if you guys read this book, if you want to read this book, or if or if you would take Grimar as a mate. I don't know. So the second book I read was Crown of Crimson, and this was by Karine Halle. And this is book number 2 and part of the Underworld gods. And so, since I don't want to have this review full of spoilers, I think I'm going to review the first book, which is River of Shadows. I have a copy here. So this book is about Hannah, who grew up in California. She's a social media influencer. She has a good life, and she usually goes back home to Finland and visits her father. And her mother is kind of a deadbeat, like she got pregnant and then left her. And so, unfortunately, her father passes away when she's the age of 24. So she ends up going back home to Finland, and she realizes like some weird stuff is happening here at this resort. Like this lady, I don't know, I can't read her, like something's going on, right? And so there's this guy who pops up, random guy, and he's like, we need to go, we need to get you out of here. She's like, oh my god, like who are you, why do I need to go, right? And so he takes her to the underworld, and this is where she meets Death. And Death is our hero, and I don't know what else to say without spoiling the book, but Death makes a deal with Hannah. So if she takes his hand in marriage, then things will get cool, right? She'll get her wish. And I don't want to say any more because I feel like I'm going to spoil the book. So what I liked about this book is I like the mythology aspect of this. Huge fan of mythology. I thought it was really funny. Hannah was a great character to follow, and so I enjoyed this book. And I think one negative that I have is that it ends in a cliffhanger. And so I give this book an overall 3.75 rating. All right, so the third book that I read this month is Bound by Tiffany Roberts. And this is book number 3 to the Spider Mate romance series. And this is an alien romance. And guys, I'm sorry, but this series, I love this series. At first, I was a little skeptical. I was like, spider romance? Let me just pick this shit up and figure out if I like it or not. So I picked it up, right? And I enjoyed this book. Oh my God. This book made me cry. This book made me laugh. This book made me cheer the couple on. And so I'll be going over the first book, so I don't have any spoilers for those who haven't read this series. So this book begins with our hero, Keaton, and hopefully I said his name right. And it begins with him. He doesn't want to mate. He lives a very reclusive life. And so what we find out is that he's a hunter. He fought in the war, and that the queen is seeking him out because she feels like they will make excellent babies. She's like, I want you. You got a nice build. You're a warrior. You're strong. Let's get down to business, pretty much, right? And he feels different. He's like, whoa. Slow your roll. I don't like you. You take everything away from everybody. We need these goods. You are just a B-word. And, she tries to take advantage of him. She is an awful queen. You hate her. You hate her through the page. Let's be real. And so during their last encounter, some drama went on. And he's like, you know what, I'm leaving. I can't be here anymore. This is why I live in a little hut, a spider hut in the forest, okay? This is why, because you are just negative and you are just trying to use me for my body, pretty much. And so during his travel back home, he finds a ship, and it's an abandoned ship, and this is totally foreign to their people because it's technology they never seen before. And so, you know, he's digging around, looking around, and then he spots a human. And that human is our heroine. Her name is Ivy. And what we find out about Ivy is she decided to go on this ship and go to a different planet to live on and become a baby maker, pretty much. So they're going to repopulate that planet that is similar to Earth and start a new, I don't know, new culture, new everything, whatever. I can't think of the words right now. And so while they're flying there, the plane crash lands, and while they're sleeping in their pods. So Kitan is like looking like, oh wow, like who is that? She has big bouncy golden hair. She looks so soft and beautiful. I just want to touch her, you know? And so he wakes her up, and their romance and their friendship builds from there. And so what I really liked about this book is it was a different, I thought it was like a totally different spin, because, you know, we had one who, he didn't speak, you know, English, and she didn't speak their language, and you could see their relationship slowly build and them figuring out each other. And I also enjoyed the parts where he was like touching her body, like, oh my God, what is that? Is that a boob? Like, and she's like, get off me, you loser. Like, what are you doing? But I thought that was pretty funny in the book. And I also like that he made like beautiful clothing for her. Like, he will just make a web dress and it's like, here, you wear this. I thought you would really like it. And the world building, everything, I just love this book. Like the customs, the language, there was genuine emotion. Like I felt the emotion through the page, and I never really cry for books. And this one got me. It was really good. And I also like that Ivy, she was like, you know what, I'm going to take this for what it is. I'm on this planet and I have nowhere back home. So, you know, it did suck for her, but she just took it as it was, and she learned how to survive on this planet despite not knowing anything. And, you know, she appeared more weaker than the species on that planet because she was more soft, and the spider people just seemed more built for that planet. They had, you know, armor, they had hair, nails, and a whole bunch of legs, and then here's us humans. So I really enjoyed this book, so I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. So after I read that book, I was like, I need another alien romance. And so I picked up Choosing Theo, and this is book number 1. I don't know how to pronounce this series name, so I apologize. I should have looked that up, and I'm not even going to embarrass myself by saying it. But this is by Victoria Aveline, and this is an alien romance. And I had a lot of fun with this book. So this is about our heroine, Jade. She gets kidnapped by these lizard aliens, and she's like on the ship for a week trying to figure out what's happening. Where are they taking me? And they were just feeding her this green goo. And she's like, actually, it's not that bad. It just looks really gross, right? And so eventually they put her in this pod, and they're like, you're leaving. Bye. And they drop her on this random planet, and she got out and she just took off, even though somebody was like chasing after her or whatever. And she finally got help, and she woke up. And so what I found interesting with this is they're like, okay, well, our planet, we have a lot of women, and we also have no men. Right? Wait, no. Sorry, I got it confused. There was lots of men and only a handful of women, right? So when a female was born, 20 men are born, right? and they're having an issue because with this species, they have their mates. And so what we all know about alien romance, when they have their mate, that's the only one. And they have been struggling for their people to do that. And so men go to school to learn how to treat women, and women go to school basically to learn how to be picky with their mates and to be a little bit more choosy, which is kind of cool, right? And so they just thought it was an interesting romantic plot. And usually for alien romances, the women are taken away from their planet and they're getting sold off to sex slavery. But what I found interesting about this book is that the women had a choice in this, and they get to pick their mate. And I thought that was a really cool spin. Like, they did her up, but they also had like stuff that made women seem more beautiful. So you get a shot like every 3 months or something like that, and it slows down your aging. I was like, okay, send me off to that planet, right? I thought that was awesome. And you know, they live longer than humans, and their technology was really cool. I found this book cool, and it kept me engaged, so I was really happy I picked this up. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. So the next book I picked up is it's Freeing Luka, and this is part 2 of the series. And I cannot pronounce that word. I will get better, I promise. And so this is also an alien romance, and I didn't really like this one as much as the first one. I was at like some high, and I was like, oh my god, I really liked it. Hopefully they'll have like some alien matchmaker service for this one. No, unfortunately, I was disappointed. Maybe if I didn't read it right after the first one, which was really good, maybe I would have liked it, but I didn't really like it as much. So this book is about Luka, who is a scientist, and he was studying the, I guess, fertility issues that they've been having as a people, as a culture, as a race, and trying to figure out why they have low birth rates, like what's going on. And so while he's working there, he finds out that someone was taking humans from their planet or other species and doing horrible studies on them. And so eventually he was drugged and put in a cell and chained up. And they gave him some weird, like, I'm trying to figure out a word. They gave him some happy pills to make him more in the mood, and to be a little bit more aggressive. And so this is when we run into our heroine, and I think her name is Alice. And Alice was captured. She felt like her life was coming together, and the lizard men They came and got her, and she was taken to this facility. And this is where Luka found out, like, this is my mate. And they escape, and she was forced in a cell with Luka because the scientists realized, like, they were mates and they wanted them to get busy. And she's like, no, he's drugged up, like, this is weird, I'm not doing that. Which I understand. I feel for you, girl, because that would be traumatizing for me. And so what I did not like about this book is I didn't connect with the characters. I do not like the miscommunication trope. Like, let's just, like, why are you guys gonna come in a room and talk about it like civil adults? Like, hey, yo, you're my mate, let's figure it out from here, right? But no, it was just miscommunication. Like, you looked at me like this, and he's like, I'm just hangry, okay? Not hangry, but I'm just angry, and I just want you, right? And I don't know what to do with myself. He could have, but no. He felt like she was mad at him. She felt like he didn't want him. And I was just like, I'm over this juvenile shit. Like, I'm too old for this. And I also felt like this was too slow compared to the first one, which was like fast-paced, fun, whatever. So I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. So the next book I have here is Deceived by Gargoyles, and this is by Lilian Lark. And this is book number 2 to the Monstrous Matches series. This is about Grace. She's a curvy librarian, and she's also a witch, and she's feeling like her dating life sucks and she's ready to start a family. And so what she does is she goes into a matchmaking service to help fulfill whatever she's looking for. And she has like a checklist, like, I want this kind of man, I don't want like to be in a group relationship, whatever. And so the hero of the story, Elliot, he sees her walking down the street, he's like, I want her. But he has 3 maids at home. And he feels like he wanted Grace to join their, how should I say this? He wanted Grace to join their family. And so they start going on dates. He finds out, oh my God, like, you belong to us. But Elliot keeps a little secret, and she thinks that he is looking for a mate. Like, he hasn't kissed her, hasn't done anything. And she's like, what's going on, right? And then we find out that he has 3 mates at home, and they want to be together. So the positives of this, I found this book very spicy. I mean, all the men fulfill all the needs that one man can do, right? She saw this perfect picture of one man, right? And all these 3 gargoyles make up for one. So I thought it was pretty awesome. She had one that liked to cook. She had one that was like this alpha male. And then she had one that was like more empathetic. And I thought it was awesome. She can go to each one and figure out, you know, if she's feeling like she wants to go on a dinner date, well, go hit up one gargoyle or go hit up the next one. So I thought it was pretty cool. And I also like that Grace was very independent, and she didn't really like follow through with what her parents wanted. She was like, I want to do this. I don't want to marry all these, not marry. I don't want to be with somebody that you choose. I want to be with somebody that I choose, which I totally respect. And what I didn't like about this book is, I don't know, I just wasn't, like, I enjoyed it, of course, but I just felt like I really hated that Elliot lied. I wish it was more straightforward about what was going on, but you know, it makes the drama and the world go around, right? And so I give this book a 3.5 stars. I did enjoy it. It was fun. The next book I have on my list is I Married a Minotaur, and this is by Regine Abel. I think I said her name right. And this is part of the Prime Mating Agency, and this is book number 5. And this is also an alien romance, marriage of convenience. I love this series. So I made a mistake, and I didn't read the book before this. I think it was I Married a Birdman, but it's okay. So I recommend that you don't read this as a standalone because you get more of a bigger picture than what I had. But if you do, that's totally fine too. So this book is about Rihanna. Hey, Rihanna. Okay. This book is about Rihanna, and she is sitting in a cell facing a 20-year sentence, and she was going to be sentenced to the most savage oh my God, what was that? Oh my God. She was facing 20 years, and she was sentenced on the most savage prison planet. I don't know why that's hard for me to talk about. Okay, so before being transferred to this prison planet, this man comes in and he's like, yo, you ready to strike a deal? You know, if you don't want to serve 20 years, on this prison planet that I heard was terrible. Why don't you sign up for the Prime Mating Agency, right? And so she's like sitting there like, oh my God, like I don't want to marry like this strange guy, like, but I don't want to go to a planet for 20 years and waste my life, especially for something I didn't do. So she agrees to this, and he matches her up with a Minotaur. And the Minotaur is our hero, and his name is Zartruck. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And he's a white albino Minotaur. He has like red eyes, white fur. He looks good, right? He's this big buff alpha male. Yeah. And what we find out about his people, the Yaris, I think that's how you pronounce it, is that there are victims of their own blood rage. And I guess it's very hard for them to fight their need for violence. And so there's always a war going on. And when the war goes on, there's not enough. When the war goes on, a lot of men die. And so what her husband is trying to do, Zartruck, is trying to figure out how they can get rid of this blood rage. And since she is like this highly intelligent assassin and a hustler, you know, she was able to figure things out. What I liked about this book is Regine was very feisty. She was fun. She's a small person, big personality, right? Which is, I love it because he was huge, Zartruck. And I felt like their chemistry was pretty awesome. Like, he was this alpha male and she was like this little spicy thing. And it was fun. It was fun reading about it. And he, you know, she would spit it out and he would put it out. And I really like the story of the Yaris and how they're being oppressed by their own blood rage. I found that very interesting. And the only negative I have about this book is it slowed down for a bit, and I feel like the two characters kind of became this side story to what was going on about the people, the war. But overall, I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. So the next book I read was I Married a Merman, and I believe this is book number 6. And this is part of the Prime Mating Agency as well, and this was written by Regine Abel. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. Okay, so this is about Nera, I believe her name is, and she's the heroine of the story, and she was dealing with an illness. And so she visited a doctor, and the doctor told her, you know, the Earth's environment is basically poisoning you, and it's slowly killing you, and there's no cure. The only cure is if you move to this planet. But, you know, it's going to be very expensive, and Nora was really broke. She didn't have no money. She's like, what am I going to do? And so the doctor's like, well, I'll get you set up with the Prime Mating Agency. So if you go to this other planet, all the costs will be covered. The only thing is you will have to marry this man, and this man is Echo, and he is the merman of the story. He has red hair, kind of a green body, I don't know. and so Echo was very excited that the agency has found his mate, and he had to care and nurture for his mate, meaning that while she's on this planet, you know, things can either get good, things can either get bad. And so this book basically revolves around them. There wasn't any other like drama going on with the planet. She was just only going there just so to see if she was actually his mate, because she was slowly turning into a mermaid herself. And then also, there wasn't really going on in this book. It was kind of boring, to be honest with you. And so what I found is, I think the negatives of this book is that the writing was pretty solid but I found this book a bit boring because there wasn't any drama. It was just about them and their relationship and seeing if Nira will adapt to this planet and be successful. And so, but what I did like about this book is like being on a mermaid planet, ocean planet. I thought it was interesting, and eating seafood and their culture. That was fun. Was found by the lake monster, a love bathhouse romance. And so this was a novella. It was short, it was sweet. And this is a monster smut novella. And this is by Lillian Lark. And she's the one who wrote Stalked by a Kraken, and what is the other one? The Gargoyles, Deceived by Gargoyles. And so this book begins with Amy, right? And so Amy, she decides to take a trip in the swamps because she decided to join a paranormal hunting team, and she's human. She's not a witch. And so while she's running around trying to figure things out, she gets lost and a whole bunch of spiders jump on her and things get messy. And so we run into Adrian. Adrian is the Loch Ness Monster. And being human, we don't know anything about this world. We don't know that monster exists. So she sees this man. She's like, oh my God, what are you? And he's like, are you my date? Hi. And she's like, oh my God, hi, I am your date. Because she was like curious. And she was curious about monsters. And she had a fantasy about getting with monsters. And she had toys at home shaped like monsters. So, if you catch my drift. And so they really enjoy each other's company, and they start to get to know each other. And what we find out about Adrian, he is the hero of the book. He was going through his heat, and I find it like, like a cat goes in heat. They're very warm. They just want to get humped on, okay? And so Adrian, he's like, oh my God, hopefully this date is successful because I really want to have a baby. This is the last season I can have a baby. Like, I need somebody to get it on with. And so this book is really good. I don't want to say anything else. So what I liked about this book, it was fast paced. It was super cute. It was fun, funny. I liked how Amy and Adrian love their toys. They're both drawn to another on a primal level. So it was really awesome because usually, I think in the book they said that like witches are the only things that are compatible with monsters in their universe. So it was pretty cool. And I believe I didn't have any like negatives about this book. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. And I recommend that you guys read this book. And it just came out too. So if you have, oh my God, if anyone hasn't reviewed this book, I recommend it. And so I give this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And yeah. So thank you for sitting through my review. Please like, follow, share. This is my first video. So if you have any recommendations or anything, just let me know in the comments. So yeah, thank you. I hope you have a great day, great evening. Whenever you're watching this, just enjoy yourselves today. Bye.